The history of therapy dogs in schools is a rather new concept, and most schools don't actually have therapy dogs, but will have dogs who have gone through different types of certification programs. Like with the AKC, there's the Good Citizen dog program that dogs can go through. And then Boris Levinson, he was a child psychiatrist, and he is actually kind of the one who really found that having animals and dogs really helped in the mental health treatment.
In the past, we had moments where we had dogs that were coming in that people were just bringing, and there was really no forethought. We could see the benefit the dog was having, and I'm talking 15 years ago. We could see the benefit the dog was having on students, but we didn't really have a plan for what we wanted to do. At this stage, in our middle school building, because we have 2 dogs that are retiring, we're being very, very thoughtful about the personality of the dog that we are choosing, the training the dog that gets, and how they're going to be used in the arena.
I was really lucky with CEECH because he came fully trained. He was owned by someone previous to me, and I have been his foster mom for 5 years. And he already had all the skills he needed to be a school dog. We did the Good Citizen test, and he passed with flying colors, and we never practiced because I knew he could do all the things that they were going to ask for him to do.
They're the normal challenges that you would normally have with training a dog in general. There's some extra things that happen. You kind of have to refresh their training a lot because being in school, the kids call their names all the time. They get to where they kind of want to tune things out just for you know, taking care of themselves. So you have to refresh things like, you know, when I call you, you need to come. And training the kids is as important as training the dogs. Training the kids to not call their name all day long. I've taught the kids they can use hand signals to ask them to come. There's a lot of rules around what to do with them just to protect the dogs and what they know and what they are being asked to do.
I deal with a lot of anxiety and panic attacks when I am here and I have to do presentations or I'm just having a bad day in class. I tend to come out and I look for Maddie because just having a loving animal around is really helpful because it's something to distract yourself from the anxiety.
When I would feel stressed, the dogs would come up and they would kind of sit with me and they would be there, and I would love just having them around because I love dogs. And when I would feel anxious or stressed, they would come up and they could tell and they would help by sitting there and allowing me to pet them.
I never really thought of it as sharing him. It was more like CEECH and I are going to work and we have a job to do. And once he got here, he just picked up on what he needed to do, and the kids loved him. And it never felt like sharing because they had so much to give him and he had so much to give to them. Initially, I was afraid that the dog would create chaos because they would be excited or they wouldn't leave him alone, they wouldn't focus. But it became clear within the first 20 minutes that they were all really happy to see CEECH, but they were able to let him walk around the room and they would focus on their work and they would say a quick hi to him. There was a little bit of training with the kids on what was appropriate and not appropriate. They can't feed him, that kind of thing. But it flowed very easily.
It helps me when I'm like sad or stressed because it's just like this cute fluffy dog just here waiting and wanting for you to pet her, and so like they help just to kind of like relax, because like for me petting is just like a relaxing motion, which helps. And also when I'm sad, puppies are always like #1 choice for me.
I was originally against dogs in school, but I was originally against dogs in school because I'm from a traditional school system originally and it seemed so odd. But after seeing the difference of the students, I started thinking it was a good idea. Eventually, I had some very severe autistic students come into the high school. To have a dog in the high school was a much different matter than in the middle school, because in the middle school there's individual classrooms for teachers to keep their pets in that classroom. Here it's more of an open space area. That was one of the difficulties of trying to figure out if we wanted the dog in school. But with the number of autistic students one year that came into the school, I found a lot of my time trying to help the autistic students out of their anxiety moments, and started doing a lot of research to see if dogs could help with that, which I found the research did say that. So we started our search to find a high school dog that could roam the school with 200 students around it all the time versus 15 students. I can see a visible difference when a student is going through an anxiety attack and MADDIE comes into the picture. I've had students in a total meltdown with a non-verbal responses curled up in a ball, and MADDIE coming up to them, maybe lick their face, she's not supposed to, but lick their face or snuggle up to them, and they come out of the anxiety attack within seconds and just starts loving on her. They may not come out of the attack completely, but it starts to happen, and they are able to verbalize better on what is happening to them, what caused the anxiety attack with MADDIE there.
We actually have had students in the past that were unfortunately attacked by a dog when they were small, which created that fear for them. What we did was we worked with the family, again, letting them know right away we have dogs in the facility and letting them have a choice if this is where they still want to be or not. And through the work with the family, through the work with the advocacy teacher, we have worked with the student to help alleviate some of that fear and anxiety through different techniques in the classroom, just so they can start getting used to it. And by the time the student leaves the middle school building, usually, or at least in the scenarios I'm thinking of, the student didn't have any more problems with fear around dogs. Well, we have a couple contingencies in place. One of the things that we do, that's why we do so much of the training. We want dogs and the owners to be really clear on what is expected of the dog, making sure the dog has exposure to children, making sure the dog has exposure to unforeseen situations, so that we have that awareness and preparation. I would say our second step is we also are training students. The students in the middle school currently know with the puppies, they're not allowed to be around the puppies very much. They can see them and pet them as long as the owner says it's okay, because we want them to learn how to be around the animals as well and not just maul them or grab onto them or something that might spook the animal. As a board, our board has decided that they want to make sure the dogs have all obviously had their vaccinations, have been to the vet, are cleared health-wise, but then have also gone through all this training again so they know how to be around the children appropriately. The school, as its own entity, has insurance, and as long as the dogs are following along with the training that they're doing, they've been certified, our insurance company will cover us for any unforeseen situation.
It's been a few years to really perfect our vision and having them here. So I think we would just continue doing what we're doing. We don't want a overly number of dogs in school. So we are limiting the number that we have. In a high school, I wouldn't mind another dog within a classroom area, but I think 2 would be enough. In the middle school, I think the number of dogs that they have had last year was just enough. Some of them retired this year, so we're looking for the replacements of those dogs. Other than that, I would like to see actually more training on some of the lower trained dogs on therapy techniques. Right now, they are just on the basic training of the Canine Good Citizenship certificate, which is basic commands, and I would like that to be a higher training, but that would be in the future and it would be ideal.
Our dog's a Border Collie. He's not a purebred. He has a little bit of Australian Shepherd in him, and his personality helped us to decide that it would be a good job for him. Border Collies need a job, and when he is at the school, he is a greeter. He likes to greet all people and even other animals, and he just fit well with being at the school, and that helped me and my family decide that it was a good job for him to have.
Now we've got a puppy that I'm starting with now. It's still yet to be seen how he's going to do. You know, he's still very young. He's only 12 weeks old, so we're not sure. But exposing him to a lot early on. We take him in stores. We take him everywhere that they'll let me take him, just so to expose him to things. And we'll see. They kind of just, the personality is huge, and that determines whether they really work or not.
We did just get an Australian Shepherd Poodle puppy, and the hope is that in a couple years he will be trained well enough that he can come in and replace CEECH in the classroom. Not that CEECH is replaceable, but take his spot.
I know, but I can't help but pet her when she's sitting right here. You know, like she just sits here and you just like pet her, and it helps with my own anxiety when I get really nervous for interviews. That's a clip you could edit in. Just saying.
Do like a picture